Scottish school children are assessed every year as part of the Programme for International Student Assessment, PISA, and Scotland's fallen down the rankings somewhat recently in maths and in literacy. Scottish children used to be assessed in other international programmes as well, but the Scottish government's withdrawn from those. Some people say that they were embarrassed by the results. But a new assessment for international comparison has come along now, and the Scottish government has been very keen to enter it. This is something that really appeals to them, and they're very confident that they can succeed and show off how effective Scottish schools are in this area. It's a global measure of political indoctrination. It's the PISA Global Competence Assessment, and it basically assesses the school's ability to inculcate progressive, left-leaning, liberal, social justice, political philosophy into the kids. So let's have a look what this is going to be all about. Okay, so there's a long preamble to the documentation about this assessment, but I'm going to jump right to the questions. So these are the questions that 15-year-old kids are going to be asked. And the thing to remember here is this is just not asking for a personal view out of interest. These questions have a right answer and a wrong answer according to PISA, and your school and your country is doing well or not doing well according to the answers to these questions. Right, let's have a look at a few questions. I reduce the energy I use at home to protect the environment. I choose certain products for ethical environmental reasons, even if they're a bit more expensive. Don't forget there's a right and wrong answer, so the school's job is to make the kids say yes to that question. I sign environmental or social petitions online. Again, the answer is supposed to be yes. And you can imagine the sort of pressure that will be put on schools and therefore put on young people to do what they're supposed to do, allegedly. I boycott products or companies for political, ethical or environmental reasons. Again, the answer is supposed to be yes. So kids, get on with it. Who are you boycotting? No one? Write your homework this week. Find someone to boycott. I participate in activities promoting equality between men and women. Now, what are they exactly? What are activities promoting equality between men and women? Again, you can just imagine exactly the sort of thing that's going to happen. The schools will think, right, we better put on something ourselves, get a good feminist indoctrination session going. Then all our kids can tick the right box, and Scotland will be doing well. I'm interested in finding out about the traditions of other cultures. Why is that a good thing? Maybe a young person will say, well, no, actually, I'm interested in astrophysics. Actually, I'm interested in ancient history. But oh, no. That's not good enough. You have to be interested in other cultures. I respect the values of people from different cultures. I value the opinions of people from different cultures. Well, yes, in a way, but on the other hand, I'm not a cultural relativist, and I'm quite happy to say in some situations that I think the values that I hold, or the values of, for example, my culture or Western civilization, are superior to those of other cultures. You can imagine the direction lessons will be leaning in to try and get the tick in the right boxes for those ones. I think of myself as a citizen of the world. Right, generally speaking, people on the political left have an internationalist view. They want to see national boundaries removed and move towards international socialism. Generally, people on the right of the political spectrum value the nation state and see that as a more effective way of organising societies. Scottish school children will be assessed on whether or not they tick the box to show that they agree with the generally left-wing view on that. Right, what's next? Immigrants who live in a country for several years should have the opportunity to vote in elections. Obviously, the correct answer is strongly agree. Why? I think people should be able to vote in elections when they become citizens, and that should be a serious commitment to a country. So I would put, I disagree with that statement, so therefore my teachers would think they really need to try harder to indoctrinate me into ticking the right box. Next one, immigrants should have the opportunity to continue with their own customs and lifestyle. Yes, in one sense, and in another sense, that's not such a good idea. The doctrine of multiculturalism, where different groups lead parallel existences rather than joining into with one mainstream culture, I think is a negative concept. It's been acknowledged so by a lot of leaders of Western countries, but in Scotland, the kids have to say multiculturalism is the way to go. Immigrants should have all the same rights that everyone else in the country has. Right, I strongly disagree with that. When they become a citizen, they have the same rights as everyone else. But someone just arriving in a country shouldn't necessarily have exactly the same rights as citizens who've been paying into the system, been committed to that country for a long period of time. Again, that's a politically contentious view, but there's no embarrassment about here. Children need to be indoctrinated to one side of the political spectrum. Right, next thing the children are expected to do, to assess their own teachers, to report the biases and the bad attitudes of their teachers. So your teachers have misconceptions about the history of some cultural groups, say negative things about people of some cultural groups, blame people of some cultural groups, have lower academic expectations. So it's inviting the kids to complain, to become little social justice warriors, seeing discrimination and prejudice in every teacher. Well, hopefully I've convinced you there that this is a program for political indoctrination in schools. If you're not quite convinced, this will be the clincher. This is a quote from the man who is the head of this program, the Global Competency Assessment. He says this of it. He says that the failure of education systems to teach global competence may have played a part in the Brexit vote. Have you got that straight? He's saying if we taught this properly to children, they'd have been more pro-EU and the Brexit vote possibly wouldn't have happened. Totally blatant, open admission that this is a matter of influencing the political views of Scottish school children. Yet this matter has had zero media coverage in Scotland. It's caused zero controversy and there has been zero political dissent. Now, if you want there to be political dissent on this sort of issue, if you think this is something that should be being discussed, the government should be being challenged on these issues, then you need to support the Scottish Family Party, and I suggest you go to our website and join us. Thanks for watching.